Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Missy Hughes with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. I am super glad to welcome you to our Monday live stream video, and we've got some good news to share with you today and some important information. So at 8 a.m. this morning, the We're All In grant application process opened. So as a reminder, the We're All In grants are a $75 million total grant fund that's going to be distributed in $2,500 increments to 30,000 businesses all around Wisconsin. And I want to give you some information about what it takes to qualify for those grants and then information about how to apply. As a reminder, the application process opened at 8 a.m. this morning, but it's open until 11:59 p.m. June 23rd. So you've got a solid 8 days to get your application in, get your documents loaded. If you're running into any difficulties with that, just take your time. We're working through hearing from folks and making sure we're working the bugs out of our system, but we're really confident so far. It's 11 o'clock and we've got about 10,000 applications and things seem to be going pretty smooth. So just have some patience. Again, we have the application process open for the next 8 days. So the We're All In grants are grants that we've made available to small businesses. And in Wisconsin, we have 90% of our businesses qualify as small businesses under the federal definition, which is 500 employees or less. So we've got a ton of small businesses, but as we looked at those businesses that are really impacted by COVID-19 for the longest amount of time, they were closed way back in the beginning of March and are just now getting reopened. We saw that a lot of those real small businesses, the 20 full-time employees or less, were the businesses that were impacted the most. And so we've made this grant available to those businesses. So if you have 20 full-time employees or less, you're eligible for this. And that means not just 20 employees. So if you have 10 part-time employees and 5 full-time employees, there's ways to determine how many full-time employees you have. We've got a frequently asked questions section on our website at WEDC.org that can help you determine how many full-time employees you have, but that's really important to keep in mind. The other piece is that you need to have less than $1 million in annual gross revenue. And that's available information on your tax return. As you apply for the application, as you apply for the grant, you'll have to upload your 2018 or 2019 tax return, and that information will be on there. Again, it's at WEDC.org where you can find your application and the frequently answered questions. So we really believe that these small businesses are the heart and soul of our communities, whether it is restaurants or cafes. It's really important that we reach those businesses and we provide them with this grant. Now, $2,500 we know is not a ton of money, but if you're a business that's had to incur expenses like buying PPE for your employees or putting up plexiglass or different partitions like I have seen at restaurants or cafes, you're having to shift to a takeout menu. If you're a retail store and you're not seeing as much traffic, but you need to buy some inventory in order to keep up with the seasons, this $2,500 is really going to help you be able to do that. And we're glad to be able to provide these dollars. There's no strings attached with how you spend the money. You can either spend it on rent or mortgage, payroll, inventory, like I said, PPE. Small business owners in Wisconsin are smart enough to know what to use those dollars for, and so we haven't put restrictions on them. And indeed, I'll mention again, it's a grant, not a loan, so those dollars don't have to be paid back. We will be gathering applications over the next 8 days, and it's not a first-come, first-served basis. So you can imagine by the end of the 8 days, we will have a pile of applications, probably more than 30,000. And so then we're going to have to decide who gets to receive the grants. And we're going to use a scoring process. We are using something called the NAICS code, which is the North American classification system, industrial classification system. And that is a 3-digit code that shows what kind of business you have. So if you're in food service, if you're retail, if you're another kind of service or any kind of industry, you have one of these codes. You can find out what that code is on our website, and you'll be able to enter that into your application. But we're going to take that into consideration as we score the applications and make sure that, again, those establishments that have been most impacted by the restrictions of COVID are the ones that receive the funds. We're also going to be looking at census data all around the state to look at those economically distressed areas and make sure that we are distributing these funds across all 72 counties and across all areas that have been impacted by this. We're looking at sales tax and credit card data to make sure, again, that we're assessing those businesses that are most impacted by this. Once we make those decisions, we're hoping to be able to fund these grants by starting in the end of June. We'll be starting to distribute the grants, and then into July. So you can expect to receive information back about your application in the coming weeks, and then we'll be sending numerous communications to make sure that you know about the end of that grant process and whether or not you have received a grant. Again, there's one other piece about eligibility that I want to touch on, which is if you've received other funding from WEDC or federal programs like PPE or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL loans, you're still eligible to apply for the We're All In grants. And it'll be included in the scoring process, but don't feel that you need to take yourself out of the running because of that. And you also don't need to show that you were impacted. We're not looking for a long description of anything that you've gone through in this process. We're really trying to make the application as short and simple and straightforward as possible. And I think showing that we're just midway through the morning and we've already received a lot of applications demonstrates that we do have I think it's a pretty straightforward application process, and I hope you find that also. I also wanted to mention that we are looking to work with you in what we're calling We're All In. So the We're All In effort is really a campaign to celebrate how we're all working together and how we all need to work together in Wisconsin to regain momentum in our economy and to make sure that we understand that our communities and our businesses and our employees and our customers, we're all in this together. And we're all in this recovery together. And it comes not only down to the safety of protecting each other from COVID-19 and making sure we're doing these practices of social distancing and cleaning and disinfecting and wearing masks, but also just really respecting that we've been through a hard time, that businesses that have made it through this have really sacrificed a lot. The employees have sacrificed a lot, and we've all been home and isolated, and we can all go through this process of recovering together. And so as we put these grants out across the state, we're going to create a community of communities and a community of businesses that have all participated in this together. And I hope that we can celebrate and buy local and think about each other when we are looking for businesses that are part of the We're All In grant. So it's really important that we think about how to support each other during this time, and this is an effort to do that. So not only are we able to deploy these grant funds, but we hope to really make this something that we can all think about together and work on together. One other thing I want to mention in terms of what we can be doing immediately to support each other is something that I just continue to be really excited about that we've set up at WEDC, which is our Main Street Wisconsin shopping program. So if you go to mainstreetwi.com, you can access over 230 businesses all around Wisconsin that have shared with us their online presence. And so you can shop from anything from toys to books. You can sort and filter. You can go to Door County and Viroqua and all the way up to northern Wisconsin, all from the comfort of your computer computer and be able to support businesses and buy local. So I think it's a really awesome thing that we've done. MainStreetWI.com. It's our Main Street communities all around the state have come together and are participating in this. So I'm really excited about that and wanted to share that. The last thing I wanted to let you know about is that we have updated guidelines on our website. If you recall, we have a whole set of guidelines to help businesses determine, hey, what do I need to do in my business? A general guideline set for thinking about social distancing and wearing masks and cleaning and disinfecting. What do I do if one of my employees gets ill? But also sets of guidelines that are specific to your business. So if you have a cafe or you have a yoga studio, if you have a hair salon, you'll be able to look and think about what are the guidelines I need to be considering as I reopen. And, maybe it's worthwhile going back now. You've been open for a couple weeks. Let's go back and check in with those guidelines and make sure we're doing, all those different pieces of the puzzle. And in order to help with that, we've developed a set of checklists. So you can literally print out a checklist, walk around your shop or your cafe, and think about those pieces of the puzzle, all those guidelines. There's a lot to be considering. And now you can review, how's my workflow going? And, are we seeing points where I've got too many employees close together, or are my customers not really respecting each other's social distance as they're waiting in line? And think about how to rework your workplace and continue to evolve and adapt. And I hope that those checklists are helpful to make that happen. We also have some fun podcasts that we've done recently on our Focus Forward website. They include a great conversation I had with Elmer Moore, who is the CEO of Scale Up in Milwaukee, which is an effort to bring businesses that have become, small businesses, take them to the next level. And he's been involved in some really interesting conversations in Milwaukee and all around the state recently. I'm not sure if it's posted yet, but I recently talked with Ray Cross, who's the president of the UW system, and just had a really, really interesting conversation with him. And of course, over the weekend, we heard some news about the UW system and the plans to reopen in the fall, and we're all really excited about that and looking forward to that. So that's it. A lot going on, but really the most important thing is that we've opened the WEDC We're All In grant program. It's open for another 8 days. There's one thing I want to mention just to make sure as you're working through that application process. One thing you want to consider is that we are looking for a letter of support. When you file that application, we want to know that someone in your community can help confirm and support that you were in business back in February. Obviously, this is all moving so fast that we're looking for help just to make sure that the businesses we are giving this grant to are able to say, yeah, hey, I was in business back in February. And that's a touch point that we're looking for, and it gives you an opportunity to reach out to an organization in your community and talk with them. So I encourage you to do that, and we've got lots of organizations that are listed on the website, and they know about this. They're ready to help you get that letter. So sorry for not mentioning that earlier. And I just had a question come in from Tracy, which is, if corporate taxes are filed for combined affiliations, can you apply for more than one grant? So I think the way I'm going to answer that question, Tracy, is to say if you have a separate tax ID number, you can file a separate application. And if that answer doesn't get you to where you need, we have frequently asked questions on our website. We've done a lot of work to understand this question of multiple businesses and how to treat them. And we also have folks who are standing by to answer your questions. And so if that question didn't get it for you, reach out to our website at wedc.org. And then the next question is, are grants awarded on a first-come, first-served basis? Do earlier applications have a better chance of approval? No. We are treating all the applications the same. They will all be put into one bucket together at 12 o'clock on, I guess it's probably June 24th. It's open until 11:59 p.m. on June 23rd. And then all the applications will be considered together. And that's why we have that scoring process. And we're going to weight things and then create a filter through the impact that a business has been subject to based on their NAICS code, then the economically distressed areas, and then if a business has received WEDC funding or federal program funding. So we're going to be weighting those and then determining which grants we're able to distribute. And, my hope is that we will demonstrate that there is a great amount of need for this. We can continue to have conversations with the governor and the legislature about potentially finding other resources. So please put your application in so we can know about the businesses that are out there in Wisconsin and what's been experienced. That's it for the questions that I have today. And I will let folks go so that we can get those applications in. Again, wedc.org. Let us know if there's anything that you need. We've got, like I said, lots of folks who are ready to help answer questions. We've got a place online where you can submit questions, and then we've got those frequently asked questions. We've done a lot of work over the last few weeks to try to brainstorm all the different diverse businesses that we have in Wisconsin and questions that they might have. So good luck with that. And a reminder, Main Street, Wisconsin, mainstreetwi.com is where you can do some online shopping for those local businesses and support them. Thanks, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and we'll talk again soon.